And we are live. Welcome to VO webinar series, episode 10. And today we are joined by two gentlemen, one from Austria, living in England, and one British native. Welcome to Christian Fuchs and Mark.
Thanks for
nice
having
to have you, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Hey guys.
Very nice. How are you this evening? All good?
So far so good. The daddy duties are over finally. Now I'm in front of the TV watching Champions League, watching Atletico Madrid. And yeah, I can't wait to be in front of the TV as well.
Sorry, we won't take a lot.
Don't worry.
Maximum 1/2. Mark, how are you? All good?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to this.
Very nice, very nice. Can you briefly just introduce yourself? Christian, everything has kind of been branded around the live interview with Christian Fuchs, right? But Mark, can you introduce yourself as well?
Yeah. So my name's Mark Smith. I'm based in London, and I am Christian's head of academy. So head of Fox Soccer Academy. We have academies all over the world, in Austria, in America, and we have two bases here in England, one in London and one in Leicester.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you for the introduction. We have made a presentation, a slide that comes together with this webinar. I will switch over to that right now. And I am Jerry. I work as head of partnerships at VO Technologies marketing department. VO, we have created a portable automatic camera with an analysis platform. And we have Christian Fuchs as our honored guest today. Christian, as probably a lot of people know, you're a player for Leicester City, but you're also an entrepreneur with a lot of different projects. We're going to talk about a few of them here tonight. And the structure of the webinar today will be a small introduction to Christian and his projects. We will have Christian, the football player, plus a few questions, which we kind of compiled before the webinar. Then we're going to talk about the main topic, which is Fox Soccer Academy, a super interesting project, which both Christian and Mark is deeply involved with. And afterwards, we're going to finalize the webinar with a live Q&A session. So, Christian, you are a father that we know, since you mentioned you had the daddy responsibilities before, but you also have this project, the No Fucks Given Esports Academy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, No Fuchs Given has started off as a clothing brand, first of all, especially in that year when we became Premier League champions. It was a big hype around it. Eventually, we wanted to branch out. We were looking for something. We're not really sure in which direction we want to go. And I just saw my son, Ethan, who's not with me, one of the three who was not with me, that he was following one of those esports gamers, YouTubers, whatever it is. And he was playing, obviously, an esports game. And you know, initially I didn't think too much about it, but then eventually he kept talking about it nonstop, and he created like some kind of a fandom for that person, and I thought that sounds interesting. And then I did deeper into it. I researched the market. As it happened, at the same time, exactly the same time, I met Trevor Keane, who's running my No Fuchs Given Esports department, and from that second on, we were in the first year. We had one of the biggest FIFA teams worldwide, with players all around the globe, from LA to India to Shanghai. So we had players spread out everywhere, and that continued so far. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to get to know those, to get to know those gamers, because everybody thinks, oh, they're only nerds and they're only sitting in front of the computer. No, they are they have jobs first of all, but they also take good care of their well-being, because sitting in front of a computer a weekend can be up to 20 hours, right? And then you need to have some kind of a balance in your life and being active. And it was very interesting to get to know those people.
Have you influenced them something in, you are a top athlete yourself on the top professional level, as high as you can come in the world. Have you influenced them in some way as well?
In regards to the game itself, I know we're talking about FIFA, right? And we're talking about football, and that's a good marriage, everybody would say. But the game FIFA itself, and Mark can tell you a story about that as well. The game FIFA itself is completely different to what's happening on the field in real life. But what is very similar is pressure situations. So they're playing in tournaments, they're playing for money, they're playing to get verified, and it puts pressure on those players, and then how to cope with it, right? Or even just being there for them and help them just talk about it. Talk about how do you cope with that? What are you doing before, this might be, you make it to the final, this is the one game where you can win that tournament. How do you cope with those situations? And it's very interesting, and I think this is where my main influence comes.
Definitely. And what should we say? They sit and play for many hours, right? But off and outside the screen, have you influenced them in any way with physical training as well, and how to take care of yourself with all the different aspects? You mentioned some mental aspects, but also physical aspects, and what you eat and all these things. Have they asked you about that as well?
No, we didn't get that far yet. What we are providing for them are, and that's again FIFA specific, that's to have FIFA coaches that work with them, that literally analyze their games, what they can do better, very similar to VU, obviously, or what we have in place. We just keep reminding them to take care of their well-being, and we also promote a healthy well-being, a healthy lifestyle. And if it is in demand that they will need a nutritionist, I saw my players, and they look pretty well in shape. So they are not one of they're pretty good in shape. They're all playing football, most of them, so I can tell they're in good shape. But we didn't get any further yet.
And how do you compare in FIFA against your players? How would a normal match end up score-wise?
You see, I see a big smirk on Mark's face, right? Because I know he knows exactly. I would say I played my FIFA players and I have zero chance. But then when it comes to me playing against Mark, it's the same score like we played against Leicester yesterday, every single game.
What do you say about that, Mark?
He certainly knows how to soak up pressure and score on the counter-attack, let's say.
Okay, good. Let's continue in the...
Mark is a big Leeds fan, you got to bear it in mind.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue in the presentation.
Good idea.
The second project I want to lift a little bit before we go into your player career as well as Fox Soccer Academy is No Fuchs Given, the clothing brand. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And everyone, here's a shout out. It's nofuchsgiven.com to check it out. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? As well?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, when I started talking about the No Fuchs Given esports team, everything came about when we won the Premier League, and people were always making fun of my name. I don't know why. For me, it's very, very, very usual. Fuchs means fox. That's what it is. But I had incidents in hotels when there was no S, and when they swapped the H with a K, and then it starts to become a little bit more fun. And I also posted those pictures on my social. And somehow I said, why don't I make fun of my name myself in a way how I identify myself with. Like, No Fuchs Given to me is not only a play on my name, a play with words. For me, it was about a brave mentality to live life bold. And I think everybody that's listening in, or everybody on the call as well, you have been in situations where you feel uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone. You don't really want to do them, but there's no way around. And and this is what No Fuchs Given is, to just say, Fuchs it. I need to do it anyway. Let's make the best out of it. And literally had this one, again, this was in 2016. I went to the Montfort University. They said, yeah, we want you as a guest speaker. It's going to be 20, 30 students there, and that's it. I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's do it. So I'm going there, looking inside. Yeah, 20, 30. Yeah, right. It was more like 400,
times 10.
400, 500 people there. The good thing is I wore my No Fuchs Given t-shirt. It's one story to play in a stadium in front of 50,000 people, but it's another story when you sit out there on stage in front of 500 people. It's something I never do. It's something I'm not used to. But then, because I wore my t-shirt, I was like, all right, you know what, Fuchs it, let's just do it. And at the end, I got standing ovation, and that's what I want to reflect with my brand. Is like, just do it. Don't give too many fucks about what other people think about you. Just enjoy it and give it your very best.
Definitely. And also a great way of, taking ownership of all the humor and everything and create something new from that. It's a really nice, project. I've looked through your clothing lines. Looks cool, kind of streety, very nice.
Yeah, it's but that's why we also chose a skull that is laughing, because he doesn't give a fuck with that.
Exactly. The next part in the presentation is you as a player. In your career, you started out in Austria, your birth country, and which you have played many national team matches for. Then you went to Germany and played for Bochum, Mainz, and Schalke 04. And then you, and still are, went to Leicester City and played there. I have broken it down a little bit and divided the questions after the country this time. I hope they're not too in deep. I know that you haven't seen them before, but let's...
at least I'm kind of confident that I can answer them.
Definitely.
I hope
definitely. I think
otherwise I would struggle.
Definitely, but you won't. I think you're okay. So in Austria, how was your youth years? I heard a rumor that you debuted for the national teams quite late.
My first call up to the national team I had when I was... Gotta lie about that. It's too long ago. It's more than a decade ago. You're kidding me. Now
we start off with that one.
I only know my first game was at home against Croatia, and we lost 4-1. I think I played for 10 minutes, but it had a big impact on my career right away, because the physicality of the game was simply nothing that I was used to playing in Austria before. And it was a big learning process. I mean, people like Kovac were playing there, Petric. They were all players that were well-established players in the German Bundesliga or in other leagues. And just seeing the difference between those two countries had a big impact on my personal development of how, from that point on, how I set up my personal training to do more and to do more weightlifting, be more in the gym. It had a big impact, yeah. But again, don't ask me about when it was. I mean, I have a memory. I can't remember that far back.
It's like 23rd of July or no. But would you consider yourself as a late bloomer in that sense?
No, I would not, because I was professional footballer when I was 17. It's just that the national team I got called up. It must have not been that far back. I think I was even 19 or 20 or something. But again, I'm 34 now. Who has a memory that long?
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember anything, and we're equal in age.
And you were 21, right? So.
No. I'm born 85, so I'm 1 year older than you. Just means that I will look very good when I'm 45. Next question. Can you identify one or two things which contributed to you becoming a good footballer later in life?
It was definitely the desire and the drive to do more than others. I had when I was, but it came from even very earlier stages of my. It wasn't not even a career back then. When I was 11 years old, I had a chance to, or had a trial for an Austrian club, and I was told that I'm not good enough, right? So how do you take this as an 11-year-old? You can either say, and that's probably most of the cases, okay, you give up, the whole world is destroyed and everything, or you can say, no Fuchs given, Fuchs you, I will show you that you are simply not right, that you're very wrong with your judgment, and I trained more. I had good people around me that really helped me, but it has to come from your inner guts, from your desire to just want to prove, not even others, but to prove yourself that you can make it. This is your big dream, right? So you got to live for it. You got to do everything for it. And I think that's something. If I can bring it to the new generation, that's something that a lot of players nowadays are missing. That inner drive. It's not being served on a silver tablet. It's hard work.
Yeah, and you have so many alternatives right now, right? If I'm not good enough as a footballer, I might be able to do something else instead of take the long, hard journey, right?
Yeah. Well,
so in some cases, it is. The next one, segment in the career from Germany. How would you compare football in Germany against football in England?
I think both leagues are very physical overall. It was a good starting point for me when I joined Bochum to make my first steps in a bigger league, which is very competitive. I mean, you have teams like Dortmund there, Bayern Munich. You have Schalke there, who were very, very good back then, and I would just say that the football in England, not because of its popularity, but because of the way it's being played, much faster, much more direct. Maybe an inch more physical, but that's also a part of that referees simply judge certain situations different to European football, where some rules are also slightly different to European football, which again for me makes it far more interesting than any other league worldwide. And it's both leagues are very good, no doubt about that. You have Premier League champions, Champions League champions from Germany, the recent past from England. But I think the speed overall, and then also because of the popularity of the Premier League, the quality of individual players is far greater.
And coming from Austria, was it a big leap to switch to Bochum? And Bochum is quite of a harsh city as well, right? Oh, wow. It's more of an industry city. I know Matthias Concha, who played as a wing back there for some time, and I heard him tell me a little bit about Bochum.
Yeah, no, it was pretty rough there. Will you bear in mind that people there, it's the football, the club is their everything, right? They I think they have blue blood if they cut themselves. That's how deeply they are connected to their favorite club, and they are very critical, very critical. So was Schalke, but on the other side, if they recognize that you might not be the best player, but you give everything for the club, you give everything for the team, they honor that, they respect that, and that's why I believe that I had a pretty good standing at every club that I've played for so far.
Definitely. And has there been a difference in how teams operate nowadays in comparison to then, with the introduction of new technologies and specialist staff members and such?
Oh yeah. I think we have now pretty much as much staff around the team as we have players on the team. They're very, but that was especially in England. Even at Schalke, we didn't have that many staff members, but now in England, it's. I think that's also one thing that's much more professional over here than in any other league, because you have staff members for every single thing. One, two, three staff members that are only taking care of when you're going to the gym as a player, right? So they only take care of the conditioning. Then you have coaches that only take care of the warm-up. Then you have coaches that only take care of the technical part of the game, right? And at the very end, Brendan Rodgers is coming in as well to do tactics. So it's really dissected into so many sections, into so many departments. But I think nowadays it's also kind of required.
Definitely. In what sense would you, how has that impacted you as a player? What gives you the most impact as a player out of all of these specialist roles? I mean, you have video analysis, you have statistics. Do you, for example, know exactly where you should shoot and not on a field? How much do they dissect, and how much can you actually absorb as a player?
I'm usually not in a position where I'm getting to shoot too often. What I can tell you is that the preparation up to a game, or also the debriefs after a game, you really come out as a better player. So after a game, when you have your debrief and you see the mistakes that you make, which is the only way how you can improve, it's really vital, and that's why it's great that we have a big crew there behind the scenes that really dissects all the games every single time. But then also the preparation leading up to a game is like yesterday, Mark. I'm so sorry to mention it again, but we know exactly. no, it's truth. We know exactly what we need to do, right, against Leeds. Okay, it's not a guarantee that it will work out. That's why we all love that game, that nothing is predictable. But you definitely enhance the chances with the proper preparation.
Definitely. And then we come into Leicester and Leicester City, which you are still an active player at. Your first Premier League goal. This was one of the times that you actually shot that. Your first Premier League goal, it was an absolute screamer. This is a question from our UK market manager. It was a half volley on a second ball after a corner. How often do you look at that to get a good feeling going? And how important is video for youth players for also, boosting themselves and, improving, but also building confidence? Do you feel that, watching yourself play and watching your good moments, is it a tool as well?
See, that's not too far in the past, so I clearly remember that goal. Also, I need to involve Mark into that again. Back then, Mark was working for Crystal Palace, and it was a goal against Crystal Palace. So it's kind of we kind of have good stories to tell. Yes,
it's not staged, Mark. I'm sorry, Mark. It's not staged.
Yes, I've rewatched it. I've also been asked about the goals too many times. Of course, listen, when you have a good moment, when you know you did something great in a game, of course you want to see it again, and of course it gives you a great feeling and gives you confidence for the coming games, of even only for the next game. And young players nurture of good moments, right? The nurture of being confident on the ball, being confident on the field, to then show great performances. And again, having the, and now we can make the spoiler, having the VIA system in place at Fuchs Soccer Academy helps our players. All of our players have access to the games that they played, to review them by themselves, to look at the best scenes. But we as coaches, or we as the people who are running the academy, also look at those scenes that might have not worked out so well, but these are the ones that they learn from the very most, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to see them, probably.
It hurts a bit.
It hurts, but that's fine. We all went through that, but it improves them. In the long run, it improves them.
Definitely.
And it's objective criticism, right? There's never anything personal.
Yeah. And also, the last question before we move on from the career segment and the question segment built on this, winning the Premier League must of course was of course fantastic, and we have seen a lot of interviews with that. Did you get any key learning points after that year regarding team performance?
Yeah, that money is not always paying titles.
Yeah.
Listen,
why did you guys win?
Yeah, it was camaraderie. It was, you know, it's easy to talk about, okay, this is a team and they're fighting for each other. But what I've experienced in that year with those players, that were literally a bunch of players that were simply sorted out at other teams, didn't give a second chance. I was the same. Schalke said, no, thank you. Not good enough anymore. And again, second time in my career, right? And but then this was the satisfying part, leaving Schalke, saying, you can go, and then having the Premier League trophy in my hands a year later was unbelievable. And that feeling, that camaraderie, that just being there for each other and fighting for each other, carried us throughout the whole season. And of course, eventually, and coming back to the goal that I scored against Crystal Palace, which was, by the way, the year after, confidence built up. We went into every game. We know we didn't play the best football, but what we did was effective. We did really well. And the confidence built up, and we went into every game. Yeah, we go there to win the game. We go there to fight for every inch on the field. We go there to defend hard, and we're gonna win. We're gonna enjoy it, and we're gonna win.
I actually had the honor to visit the club during that year and watch our first team training. So I've seen you train at the facilities.
Now I remember you.
You don't. I was there with a Swedish delegation with the national team coach, for example, and we visited Paul Balsam. But the thing that struck me was like the harmony thing. You know, even after the training, players stayed out. It was so fun. It was not, only the seriousness, but you had really good fun, and that could really show. And also all the other departments, they did really well in, recruiting the team, putting together these key specialists in some way, and also the coach who gave you guys good tactics and a good foundation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But fantastic, and also thank you for following that year. That was amazing. The next project is Hudson Sports Complex. You have bought a prison, Christian.
Yeah.
What happened? Yeah, we all need a prison, right?
Who doesn't have a prison these days?
Yeah.
Just in case I ever do anything wrong, I can lock myself into my own prison.
Yeah. Yeah, but you created Hudson Sports Complex. Impressive facility. It's
a 36-acre facility. Yeah. It has been a boarding school. Delano Roosevelt created back then. It has then been medium to high risk facility, right? You see, the buildings are all original. They're all still there. You have the 2 outdoor fields. On the left of the outdoor fields, you see a square rectangular structure which has 2 indoor fields, and then behind on the very left side there's another smaller field which has now a bubble on top. And what we're working on right now is creating more fields. So where you see the empty space on the left side, this is where we are just constructing a grass field, and all the other dorms, there are 14 dorms back there, they will make way probably for 3 to 4 more fields. So it's a huge project. It's a very huge project. Literally every building that you see in there, anything that you see in this complex, well, the initial idea was very different. As you can imagine, we didn't plan to buy a prison. It was that Fuchs Academy was founded in Mark 2015, 2014. Too long ago in New York. So this is where everything started off from. And the struggle in New York is space, right? And all we wanted literally was one grass field just to host our own team, our own academy. And we ended up buying a prison, which is, it has its charm. Not so many people, not so many footballers can say that they own a prison.
No.
It comes with a lot of work, a lot of responsibilities. But it's great. It's very good. It's very good.
And it looked amazing. I obviously did some research before this webinar. It looks absolutely stunning and cool, and also unique. There are still these prison towers and things on site. So it's really cool.
Listen, the best part about it, right? And I couldn't join those tours yet. We have Halloween prison tours, right? So those tours, they're in original buildings. There's nothing staged. We added some lights, and it's a Halloween tour. It's scary, and the best feedback that we get from those tours is that people are peeing themselves because they are scared. So they literally, that's another thing that we do there. So if you ever want to come, and if you really want to get scared, you gotta come there, but bring a second pair of pants.
I will. I'll hold you up on that. You're actually moving to New York after your career in England, I heard as well.
I'm planning to. Yeah, everybody's there.
Yeah, and we said that your family lives there. I also saw that you might look into starting an NFL career.
Who said that?
Just swarming all over the internet, and awesome. You guys joining this webinar. You should really look at the kicking challenge with Christian Fuchs. It's really impressive.
Well, the thing is, if I hear that an American football, a kicker in American football can play until mid-40s, right? Why not? I'm kicking balls my whole life already. So why not extending that a little bit?
super cool project. And then the prison obviously leads us into Fox Soccer Academy, and you have three locations, as you said. How do they differ from each other?
Sorry, say it again.
How does your three Fox Academy locations? It's 4 locations actually, right? It's the US, 2 in England, and 1 in Austria. How do they differ from each other? Yeah, obviously there isn't a prison on every location, right? But what do you do in England, and what do you do in Austria, which you don't do in the US? Do they differ anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I will start off with Austria and with America. Mark is running most of the business over here in England, which might be better for him to explain. In Austria, it's literally it's more recreational and supplemental training for anybody who wants to do more work, because this is simply how I improved the very most. I did more than anybody else. What I did not have was something that was really coordinated in a proper way and based on a curriculum that Mark and I put together, which is again based on my career. What we have done in America so far was also supplemental training, but since COVID-19 stepped in, but since this fall we have also teams out there. We have a semi-professional senior team out there. We are running this academy now with about, in America, with about 160 kids ranging from 3 to, right? So every age group, and the ambitions are simply to provide those kids with proper training, but then also help them best case have a career, right? Or help them with even with their school career, right? To get scholarships. And that goes both ways. That goes from Europe, from England to America, and the other way around. We have the connection established. And Mark, if you want to talk about the UK, that would be great.
Yeah, so we have two academies in England, one in Leicester, one in London, and both of the academies range of all ages, so from under 8s all the way through to kind of under 19s, and we try to kind of have it where the kids come through the ages with us, so they have that learning progression. And over here especially, we're lucky, we have a lot of opportunities against professional teams, showcase events, tours, tournaments, to try and get the players that we have back into the professional system. So a lot of our players have been released from clubs or have missed out, but they are a good standard. And our job is to kind of bridge the gap between grassroots football and professional football and get those players back into the system. And we do that quite well. We're lucky. And just before the lockdown, which is obviously coming in on Thursday, we had 7-8 players in at professional clubs on trials. And that is through the hard work of our staff do, and Christian puts it into the academy. So we then have our system into our 16 to 19 program, which is a full-time education and football scholarship, and that's where we use a lot of the VO products in terms of the boys highlighting their best bits of the games, of looking back over systems of play, to make sure that fundamental and learning is there, that when they go into these academies and these professional teams, they're at that standard already. And like Christian said, it goes between the countries. We've taken the boys out to America and then competed in tournaments out there, and we've hosted players from Austria and America into our British academies to try and support their different style of pathway and learning of football. And
I think it's very important to what Mark said about that. Yeah, we had players at trials, right? And it's 8 players that we had just last week or this week. These are 8 players out of 100 players that we're working with right now. So the ratio is always very small. So you always have to manage the expectations of the player accordingly. What we want to create as an academy is that, okay, the chances of becoming professional, right, especially in that age, are not the highest. But what we can provide is different opportunities, different avenues to maybe still work something out, make something happen, right? the best way might not be, okay, you're here in England, you will make it here. No, that's why we have our network in Austria, basically in whole of Europe, but also in the US, because maybe through education over there, through the colleges, there's a college draft with the MLS. The more you can offer as an academy, which we in a very fortunate place, thanks to our connections, makes it probably gives those kids more opportunities.
Yeah, and I took a sneak peek. Of course, I did on your VO login. That's how I can follow it, right? And it looks absolutely stunning, and you guys do so good work. I wanted really to. I hijacked your account, Mark. Sorry, I didn't ask you before.
But was it approved?
I took over your account so we can just have a look on what you guys do and how it looks like, right? This is the Fuchs Academy kind of central hub with all your recordings.
Yeah.
And if we click on teams, we see all the teams which are on board on VO. So you have a lot of matches recorded and a lot of members, which means that you're actively putting the players onto the platform, which is amazing. And when we look at the matches, I also saw something amazing. You have FSA Pro, which is kind of your flagship team or such. But I see that, Christian, you're actually in and using the VO platform, and you're analyzing FSA teams and giving them feedback. It blows my mind to see that a Premier League player like yourself, obviously you're a driven man, but showing that passion and also giving these guys so good opportunities. I'm just blown away. What do you like about our platform, Christian? Have we built something okay at least?
Let me take one step back first, okay? So it is very important to me that it's not only about the players, it's also about the coaches. You hire a new coach, you need to understand your philosophy. They need to understand the curriculum, right? And there's no better way than showing pictures, showing videos. And it's very small details sometimes, right? How we want our players positioned behind the ball when we attack, how we want them to shift, how we want our right winger to shift when the opponent is attacking on our left side. Small things, very small things, but they make a big difference in the game afterwards. Or how we want, or talking about intensity in our game, right? We want to press the ball. We want to get the ball all the way up front, so we don't have too far to go again to score.
Yeah.
No, but that's what was very important to me. And Mark and I, we know our curriculum by heart, but I cannot expect it from other coaches. So when we have games, we dissect them. Mark is on there, I'm on there, every coach is on there, so we learn. But it's not only, okay, we tell you this is how it is. No, we also want to take on board what other coaches have, right? If they have great ideas, bring them on board. It only helps us. So but coming back to the video platform, I love it not only for analyzing the games, right? I mean, I like the function that the camera is following the ball, which was impressive to me, because when I first had a look at the camera, I was like, how does it move, or how does it work, right? We were all kind of baffled, like how does the technology work? But it's really astonishing how the quality of the picture of the video is as well. But then we also use it for social media, for highlight reels, adding some interviews afterwards that we film separately. But it's a great way for us to not only promote our brand, our games, or showcase our academy, but also to educate our players and our coaches.
definitely. And looking at the clips that you have done, it's I reacted on, for example, striker in nowhere land, and we clicked that and we jumped directly to your highlight, right? So how do you define what you should clip and what you choose to show the players and not? What do you clip and what do you not clip for these players?
Well, I have my idea of what a striker should do, right? I'm not demanding my striker to recover the ball, right? But I'm demanding the striker to at least cut the field in half, so we reduce the space for the opponent to build up the game. And then maybe the second, third, fourth player will recover the ball. But if we have an opportunity, or if we give them the opportunity to play the ball left, right, he first of all gets tired because he can only chase the ball. Would never allow us to build up any pressure. So it's what we are looking at are simply the points from our curriculum, how we want to play. And if our players play well, we also show them that they play well. But if they don't play well, we will also tell them straightforward.
Definitely. We also see Alex save one-on-one, for example, which is a positive clip. We also do have a few features which you might be interested in as well. I don't know if you know them. I'll just show you two quick ones, which while I have you here. If you create a clip, for example, you choose a starting point and an ending point, right? But you can also click down here and then you can draw arrows and you can highlight players, for example, and you can save them in a clip and play them. So that might be a good pedagogical tool. Now he shouldn't obviously go back from the pressing, just as an example. And also you can choose this icon down here, which gives you the opportunity to check whatever you want on the field.
Yeah.
And this is good. For example, we have a lot of coaches on here as well. And I'll just give them this while I have the opportunity. It's great for the back line, for example. It's great for how forwards move, how they work together, positioning of goalkeepers, all of these things which you don't usually get with a normal camera. But Christian, great feedback, and thank you for the kind words of both our hardware and our software. We're gonna end this webinar with a Q&A, where my colleagues will choose a few lucky guests on the webinar to lift their question, and let's have them answered. Do you have any questions out there, guys? Sorry? Yeah. We have Ollie P. England, particularly, is littered with so-called academies involving sometimes a shed next to a sports field. People pay extraordinary amounts of money to send their kids to these places with the suggestion how important it is to manage children's expectations when it comes to becoming a pro football player. And the likelihood of becoming a pro football player. Like, there are these small academies, right? But how do you manage and how do you kind of build expectations on
this is what and see this, Jerry, this is where I'm a step ahead of you right now, because that's why I followed up on Mark before. I saw the question from Ollie. I saw the question of Ollie on it in the live chat, but that's where I stepped in. You got to be straightforward with them, simple as, and that's what we always do. The thing about our academy is that we are not asking for anybody to pay when they join our scholarship program, because it's government funded. For the younger ones, it's literally, I don't even know, £40, £50, something like that. So, but people also need to understand the quality that we provide, and it doesn't come from nowhere. That we have the academy now here in place for 5 years, and we have 80% returning customers throughout the whole 6 years. So we must do something right, and managing expectations is so important. Is very important, and that's the only way how people can improve or move on. Simple as.
Yeah. Another question. See, would you say, it's a question from Eddie. Would you say?
Yeah, I see him from Africa.
Yeah. Would you say supplementary training is important for youth soccer? Would it be ideal to record practice sessions, to review them, or would you save the analyst only for your matches?
We are reviewing training sessions at Leicester City as well. If you have the possibility, the capabilities to do so, why not? Why not? You can learn from anything. It doesn't have to be a game only. We're making mistakes in trainings nonstop, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter when you make the mistake, as long as you learn from it.
It just depends on which club you are.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. If you have the possibilities to record trainings, fair enough. Why not? Why not nurture from it?
Definitely. And also, one use case which I can share with you guys from Fuchs Academy is if you don't have if you have, for example, a video camera, but put the kids to actually sit and analyze themselves, for example. Yeah. If you're a young center back, why not go home and create 3 good and 3 bad situations from the match and ask for your coach feedback, or just save them for later, or give them something which is related to their individual player development plan. That's also a way to do it. If you don't have 4 or 5 analysts within your club, which is not the normal if you're not from a very big academy, right?
Yeah, correct.
So there are different ways of doing it. Let's take one last one. I'll scroll up a little bit more this time. There, we had one. Hi there. You need to stop writing, guys. It jumps down every time. Hi there. I would like to ask Christian, in which age was boost of his performance in the most important most important in his career?
It was when I was 19, around 19. I gotta say I had 2 very important stages. One was 19. It was just when you kind of grow into senior football, right? I've played there. I've played since I was 17 senior football, but kind of the breakthrough when it was 19, 20. The other one was at Mainz when Thomas Tuchel was my coach back then, who's now Paris Saint-Germain, because he kind of made me the left back that I was then for Schalke or for Leicester City in the years to follow. So those 2 stages, yeah.
Yeah, and a quick one we kind of relates to that from Vid. Which aspect of your game did you improve in as a youngster that you feel got you the biggest step closer to the pro game?
Physicality. Yeah. You need to know how to fight for the ball. If you're not willing to get hurt, then they will just run all over you. Yes, you need to understand your position specifics, your tactics and everything. But if you're not willing to fight, if you're not willing to get hurt and hurt somebody else, as stupid as it sounds, but it's a fighting sport. You fight for the ball, you fight. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to suffer to dedicate everything to it, then it will be very tough in your career.
And physicality is, as you say, extremely big part of football. It is a physical sport. Great, Christian, Mark, thank you, gentlemen, for this evening.
Thank you for having us.
We humbly thank you, and to everyone who joined today, thank you for joining. Keep on staying safe out there, and tune in for the next webinar here from VO. Good night.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.